So the next one, let's look at the T table, or the T distribution table. Let's look at the T distribution table. So let's assume you were asked to find the critical value for alpha significant level is 0.05 and a one-tail test. So how do you find from the table this value? Don't worry, 0.01 or the rest, everything is exactly the same, so just follow me. So for a one tail, all we do this time, it is different. All we need to do is just find the degree of freedom for a t test. So what distribution are we doing? T distribution. Now we'll find the degree of freedom. So for a one variable t test, so it depends. So you need to find the degree of freedom. So the degree of freedom in the question you will know. Let's say the degree of freedom is n minus 1. So let's say we are dealing with 6, for example. So let's say the degree of freedom is 6 minus 1. N is 6. So 6 minus 1, let's say 5. So now we have our degree of freedom as 5. Now we need to go to the T table for a one tail and 5 degree of freedom. So let's do that. Freedom alpha value of 0.05, a one tail test, and we are looking for a degree of freedom of 5. So degree of freedom is here. This is our degree of freedom 5 and 0.0, a one tail. See, you see one tail. This table will be in the link in the description, so make sure you check it out. So the 0.05 degree of freedom, all we need to do is just trace it here, and this is it here under curve. So we have 2.015. So that's the answer, 2.015. Very simple. So now let's assume we're given a 0.05 and this time a two tails test, for example. So how about a two tails test? So the first thing you need to do, what distribution? T distribution. What's the degree of freedom? So let's say the degree of freedom this time is 6 degree of freedom. Degree of freedom will be in the question, so don't worry. And then the alpha value is 0.05, but this time a two tails test. So all we need to do is go to the table and find degree of freedom 6 with 0.05. So let's do that. So now we're looking for the alpha value 0.05, two tails test this time. So two tails test this time, and degree of freedom of 6. So this is 6 degree of freedom and a two tails test for 0.05. Look at it here. So this is what we're looking for. So all they'll do is trace it down here, and this is the value here. You can see it's very easy to find with all the blue and the white lines separated. You can find them easily without making mistakes. Let's try the chi now. Let's try the chi. Let's assume you are asked to find an alpha value of 0.05. This time you don't have to worry about the tail tests for chi and f. You don't have to worry about tail tests, so we don't have tail test here. So now what is the critical value? So the critical value for a 0.05 using the chi distribution. So for a chi distribution, we will need the degree of freedom. So once you have the degree of freedom, you can solve the question. Degree of freedom will be in the question, by the way. So let's assume the degree of freedom this time is 1. So 1 degree of freedom. So now let's go to the chi-square distribution table, not the f. Please note this, not f distribution. So let's go there, and of course the table will be in the description below, so make sure you go check it out. So let's continue. So 0.05 and a 1. So now this is my own chi-square distribution table. You can see chi-square distribution, and this time we're looking for the degree of freedom of 1 and alpha value of 0.05. So this is what we're looking for. So this is the degree of freedom, 1 degree of freedom, and a 0.05. This is it here. So this is the answer, a 3.841. So the answer is 3.841. That is the critical value under the curve. So the last but not the least, the F distribution. So the F distribution too is very simple. One of the easiest actually. So the F distribution table is for the ANOVA. So how do you use the F distribution table? So all you do is we find the this one is even the easiest. So let's say you have an alpha value of 0. And don't worry, every other thing will revolve around it. So if you are given is 0.01 degree of freedom, so your level of significance 0.01 level of significance, 0.0 any level of significance is going to revolve around this concept. So now you are given this level of significance. So all we do is to find the degree of freedom between and the degree of freedom within, and these values will be in the question. Let's assume the degree of freedom between is 2 and the degree of freedom within is 12. For example, every other thing is going to revolve around this concept. So if you see a degree of freedom between us 10 self or 5 within, the same thing. So now all we need to do is check the table for the F distribution table for 2 and 12. So let's go there. Alright, so now we're using the F distribution table. Don't forget their F distribution table is very specific. So we are using the F distribution table for 0.05. If they ask you to find the alpha value, this is the alpha. If the alpha value changes, you change the distribution table too. You get it right? So the degree of freedom between is 2 and the degree of freedom within is 12. So the degree of freedom within, this is the degree of freedom within here. So let me write this here. Degree of freedom within is 12 and degree of freedom between is over here. So we have 2 to 12. So all we do is just trace it. So this is the answer here, 3.89. So the critical value under the curve for the F distribution table is 3.89. Alright, so that's it for this video, and good luck with your exams, and I'll see you guys in the next one.